Hi guys, Dr. Rob Barrington here with some more nutrition advice. High carbohydrate diets. A lot of people ask me about low carbohydrate diets for losing weight, and I get the impression that a lot of people think, due to the publicity of low carbohydrate diets for weight loss, I get the impression that a lot of people think that high carbohydrate diets are actually bad for the health and cause weight gain. And that can be true, but it's not always true, and I just wanted to clear up this issue surrounding high carbohydrate diets. High carbohydrate diets are detrimental if the carbohydrate is refined. Any refined carbohydrate, absent of its fibre, is detrimental to the health if you eat too much of it. And that's the problem with the typical Western diet. It contains too much refined carbohydrate, including sugar, and that means that you tend to get postprandial effects that are detrimental to your blood sugar levels. You tend to get nutrient overload in your cells, you get nutrient overload in your liver cells particularly, and this causes metabolic changes. High carbohydrate diets themselves are not actually detrimental. Carbohydrate is what we say when we talk about carbohydrate is really either starch, which is made up of glucose joined by glycosidic bonds into long chains, or we're talking about sugars, particularly natural sugars would be fructose, sucrose, and glucose, and those sugars generally occur in fruit. Now, most starch in plant material, in all starch in plant material, is also present with fibre, and the sugars in fruits are also present with fibre. It's not very common to naturally find sugars or starch absent of fibre. And that's really the crux of the matter. If you eat natural whole foods, you eat high carbohydrate diet, you're also, by definition, really eating a high fibre diet. The more plant foods you eat, the more starch you eat, the more fibre you also eat. So really it's the starch to fibre ratio that defines the health of a diet. If we remove the fibre and we increase our carbohydrate content such that we're eating a high carbohydrate diet with very low levels of fibre, what we're effectively doing is putting ourselves at risk of disease. If we eat a high carbohydrate diet but we eat natural unprocessed foods, we have high fibre content with the starch, and that protects us from disease. Fibre has been shown, when it's added to the Western diet, to be protective, and all you're really doing is returning the diet to its natural level of starch and fibre. Fruit, for example, if you take fruit and you remove the fibre to create fruit juice now is really seen, from the evidence in the nutritional literature, it's really seen to be as detrimental as drinking soft drinks. But fruit, no one would really argue that fruit is bad for you, and this is because the fructose, the sucrose, the glucose in the fruit is present with fibre, and this fibre is very important. Studies have been done on high fibre diets and high carbohydrate, high fibre diets, and they do improve insulin sensitivity compared to the typical Western diet, which is also relatively high in carbohydrates, but they tend to be processed. And so really I don't see that there's evidence that high carbohydrate diets are bad for the health. Now that's not to say that therefore everybody does better. I think everyone has biochemical differences and people do better on different diets. But if you're one of those people that do flourish on a high carbohydrate diet, don't be put off by the fact that you continually read that carbohydrates cause obesity, carbohydrates cause weight gain. That's a little bit disingenuous, because carbohydrates cause weight gain and they cause obesity when they're refined. If you stick to whole grains, you stick to fruit that's unprocessed, you stick to all natural foods that contain their original fibre, really you can't go wrong. And some high carbohydrate diets that contain maybe up to 70% carbohydrate have been shown in studies to be perfectly healthy. So really I just wanted to clear that up. High carbohydrate diets are healthy if they are natural whole grain, whole food diets. High carbohydrate diets that are refined diets are detrimental, but all refined diets, whether they're high carbohydrate, high protein, high fat, anything that contains refined, processed foods with metabolic poisons, it will cause detrimental effects, and this is what we see. Traditional diets vary greatly around the world. Some are high carbohydrate, some are high protein, some are high fat, but they all have one thing in common: they're all absent of sugar, and they're all absent of refined foods. As soon as you put those refined foods in, particularly sugar, as well as refined starch, you tend to get these detrimental effects, which culminate in Western lifestyle diseases. So that's where I stand on this. I don't think there is a right diet. I don't think there is a diet that suits everybody. I don't think that everybody does well on the same diet. Certainly some people seem to thrive on carbohydrates, whereas some people seem to thrive on protein, others thrive on fat. You find the diet that suits your own metabolism, and I would follow that diet, but follow the one rule, which is don't eat processed foods, don't eat refined foods, and if you do eat a high carbohydrate diet, you must also take in the fibre that was originally in the plant food, and that means eating whole, unrefined, unprocessed sources of starch and sugars. So I hope that was helpful. If you've got any comments on this video, please leave them in the comments box below, and as always I will try to get back to you as soon as possible.